My name is Kwamina Addo. I'm Director for Agriculture and Climate Empowerment Center, ACEC for short. Now, I've been in the development sector in West Africa for about a decade now. Been working with non-profits since 2009. Up to this time, my passion is about agriculture, climate change, and then improved livelihoods. So over the few years that I've been in the development sector, I'm passionate about helping communities and people, especially the vulnerable, to improve their livelihoods through empowerment in agriculture and then economic empowerment as well, looking at how to improve their incomes. So that is it for Kwamina. And about the organization ASEC, ASEC is a development organization that is focused on empowering communities to adopt strategies to be able to be resilient and adapt to climate change. So specifically, ASEC looks at how we can empower communities or individuals, or especially the vulnerable groups in our societies, to withstand the harsh effects of climate change.
I would like to go straight into the questions about the ongoing projects now. You are now working on the Mangrove project. Could you tell us more about it and how that came about?
All right. Thanks for the question. For ASEC at the moment, we have two projects that we are currently running. First was the BioStove project, which looks at enhancing access to improved cook stoves or improved solar technologies. We realized that most women in Africa, or let me say West Africa, where I am domiciled, Liberia, Sierra Leone, Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, most of them rely on open fire systems that produces a lot of smoke and heat when they use it to cook. So ASEC is just looking at the way to eradicate this traditional systems or open fire systems of stoves to be able to replace them with improved cook stoves for the women to be able to use it to save time, to be able to cook more, and then also enhance their health. Because this time we are curbing the effect of smoke that usually emanates from the traditional system that causes eye irritations and then coughs. It is also saving time for themselves and their kids because with the traditional systems, their kids go and fetch firewood or charcoal to be able to light up the fire for domestic purposes or even commercial purposes for those who have restaurants and places of eatery along the way. But with the improved cook stoves, it saves that time that children will use to go and fetch firewood. Children can now use it to study and be good at school. The women themselves also save more time to be able to do the work that they have to do for productivity. So that is one of our projects. The second of our projects is looking at mangroves, how to enhance the environment. You see, ASEC is an organization that is looking at ways that communities can withstand the effects of climate change. And one of the things that we can do to withstand the effects of climate change or even minimize it is to ensure that the environment is resilient to the effects of climate change. So currently, this project that we are doing is looking at how one community in the central region will be empowered to develop their mangrove resources and also the fish stock, the resources of fish stock that they have, to save them or to restore them. It's called the Mangrove Restoration Project. We are looking at the way that the community can restore their mangroves to enhance climate resilience. So that is the second project that ASEC is currently working on.
With the second project going deeply into, it sounds like the external impact on environment. I presume Ghanaians and Liberians are Leonas another one overfishing the waters. So how are the policies that are the government also enacting influencing your decision making in the organization?
Right. So at the national level, we have a couple of policies that look at safeguarding the environment as well as natural resources. In Ghana, that power to protect natural resources is given to the Forestry Commission, through the Wildlife Division, and the Ministry of Lands and Resources.
Yeah.
So at the national level, those laws are there. But you see, at the communal level, usually the community folk do not really adhere to these policies or to these regulations. For example, hunting, looking at the issue of hunting.
Yeah.
In Ghana, according to the laws that we have at the national level, hunting is prohibited at certain points. But in most of our communities, they go ahead to hunt and even hunt endangered species that are not supposed to be hunted. So you see, since we work at the grassroots level, at the community level, we are supposed to ensure that communities are aware,
Yeah.
communities are made aware that these things are not supposed to be done. So for the mangrove aspect that we are looking at, you are not supposed to cut your mangrove for firewood, to cook,
Yeah.
or to do anything. Some use it for construction.
Yeah.
You see, so this is the problem that we realized. And at ASEC, we look at this strategy that we don't go and give them an intervention that this is what we want to do. We allow the community folk to call for that intervention, and we go there to contribute our quota to it. So you
Yeah.
see, usually it's demand led, or is driven by the demand at the communal level. It
Yeah.
is not like we are imposing it, because in Africa, one thing I've seen with NGO work is that if the community is not ready to change, you cannot move in to change them. So
Yeah.
as part of our work in Ghana, through our first project of distributing solar panels and then improved cook stoves,
Yeah.
we saw that mangrove restoration will be a good idea.
Yeah.
So we formulated this project with members from the community, opinion leaders, their traditional authorities, key persons amongst them, who came to us that yes, they realize that they are depleting their mangrove resources, and it makes all the fish that reside in the waters.
Yeah.
So I'm not talking about the ocean, but in the brackish water. It makes all the fish there disappear. And this is endangering their own livelihoods, because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, they have nothing doing. So they came to us at ASEC that can we find a way to help them to conserve and protect their mangrove resources. And this is where we come in, that the community also contributes to the project in cultural ways. They have their own cultural knowledge and
Yeah.
cultural practices that they can use to enhance the resilience to climate change that we are talking about. But ASEC also comes in with the expertise, or let me say the technological um,
No.
prowess,
Yeah.
exactly, where we introduce certain technological ways to conserve and protect the mangrove resources. So yes, at the national level, there are laws or policies that should protect these things, but unfortunately, at a communal level, it is not adhered to that way. So this is where ASEC moves in to enforce it by finding innovative ways to work with communities to ensure that the goal is achieved.
Yeah. I like the fact that you brought up that for any policy or any
Yeah,
plan that has to work, community sense of ownership has to be paramount for
great,
you
exactly.
to actually take hold. With that being said, is it possible to actually also go into communities as a advance warning that, hey, we have noticed that, let's say in another community, that you are consuming a lot of mangrove for firewood. Perhaps you shouldn't do this, and then give them a reason to, or are you purely community demanded organization? For example, hunting. You're going against the regulations, and in order to also safeguard your community, would like to propose a project, or do you wait for the community to be in that distress situation to come to the organization first?
Well, thanks. ASEC deploys a two-dimensional approach
Mhm.
to leading interventions within the communities in Ghana.
Yeah.
Sometimes the communities have to come to us, because that is where you realize that then there is a need. The people realize, the people acknowledge the problem and are ready for change. Other times too, you have to go there and do it when we observe it.
Yeah.
But from my experience personally, in other places that I've worked with and in my other non-profit interventions that we've conducted in the past, if you take the project there, or if you take the intervention there, usually at the end of the day, they do not um, take the change that you are bringing to them. Let me put it that way.
Okay.
For example, let's say they have a way of pouring waste or discarding rubbish.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you make your mind that you are going to build an incinerator. An incinerator is at least an acceptable way of raiding garbage. Okay, the people did not ask for it. They like to put out their waste the way they do.
Yeah.
So go and build an incinerator for them.
Yeah.
Give them the needed education, the needed skills to be able to use the technology that you have given them. Immediately you turn away from the community, they go back to their old ways.
Yeah.
Why do they do this? Because they did not see the need to stop the methods of their old ways.
Yeah.
You see, so as for ASEC, when we established ASEC, we decided that all our interventions are going to be community led or demand driven.
Yeah.
You see, if we take the change there, we do all the necessary awareness creation, education, trainings, immediately you leave there, they go back to their old ways. So it's like you didn't achieve anything. You don't achieve the desired result. So yes, for ASEC, we are looking at demand-driven interventions.
Yeah.
Come and tell us the problem. When we realize that the key people within the community acknowledge the problem and are seeking a change
Yeah.
to which ASEC will then come in to help.
Yeah.
So for ASEC, we have made ourselves more like into climate. We are only into climate. Anything about climate protection, environmental protection, livelihood securing, we do that. So you realize that certain communities use old fire systems or traditional systems of, they realize that they are getting a lot of health challenges
Yeah.
out of this. So this is where ASEC moves in with improved cook stoves, to the extent that for the first campaign that we did with Impact Direct, they had to resource us to buy cook stoves and distribute freely
Yeah.
to the communities, because we do not want to see them still suffering from the effects of smoke,
Yeah.
effects of time consuming and all that. So it ameliorates the problem
Yes,
and
sir.
gives them a sort of a relief. So for this mangrove restoration project too, it is the same tactics that we are deploying, where the community has come to see us about the problem, and we are going in with a solution, whereas they also help in getting the change that we are looking for. It's not like ASEC is implementing it all alone, and at the end
Yeah.
of the day, we leave the communities. We have put it in the hands of the community people who are doing
Yeah.
their own thing, receive the change that they seek.
Are there any policies that were made? I'm sure there are abroad, right, and that are implemented in West Africa and the region that you work in that have not included the community's engagement? And do you know the impact of those decisions made outside on the ground? You just explained really well how it's again, it's really important to have the community involvement from the get-go, because if they're not on board, the minute you walk away or the minute the project is finished, they will revert back to how they used to do things.
Right.
Now, this then takes me to why Impact Direct exists as well, to rely on local expertise and let all this and have people with the knowledge on the ground be part of the decision making tables. Now, of course, we're not there yet at the moment in global terms. I'm wondering, are there projects that you have seen that have been decided in the West, whether it's the European Union or the commissions or whatever else, that are supposed to be implemented on the ground, but the disconnect exists? And is there a way for your organization also to fill that hole, or to even attempt to engage with those organizations that are supposed to implement the rules and policies made from the West?
Yeah, thanks, Nikki. As you already know, there are a lot of examples that I can give you in my few years of practicing
Mm-hmm.
within the nonprofit sector and development sector of West Africa, usually with the European funded projects, American funded interventions. They have their own rules that you have to go by in order to implement the project.
Yeah.
And usually we have come to realize that there's a massive disconnect on the ground level or at the grassroots level,
Yeah.
where the rules of the donor may not necessarily favor the conditions that exist on the ground
Yeah.
or in the target communities that the project is being implemented. So this is where Impact Direct and ASEC have all acknowledged and come together to be doing what we are even doing now.
Yeah.
So what happened is that there may be some rules. For example, there may be some rules within the funding organization that when you are implementing the project or you go to the communities, you are not supposed to do certain things and that because of their rules. But you see, in the local community or the conditions that exist on the ground, you need to even flout the rules of the funding organization in order to achieve
Yeah.
the results that you are looking for. But usually, the implementing organizations like ASEC are hindered by these rules because we can't also flout the rules because we signed a contract with the funding organization. So
Absolutely.
usually it doesn't end up bringing the needed change or the needed impact at the community level. So this has been the bane of the development sector in Ghana and I think other African countries, even in the Middle East or Asia,
Yeah.
where the rules or certain conditions that come from the donor may not necessarily favor the vulnerable people that we are working for.
Yeah.
So Impact Direct seeks to clear this gap. Impact Direct seeks to correct this mistake by making this more collaborative.
Yeah.
Making it more collaborative that the decision is made at the community level.
Yeah.
And not from outside Africa or even outside Ghana. So
Yeah.
it's something that personally I think that if it continues, that if rules are made or decisions are taken from abroad and brought in the local context, we will not achieve the needed impact that we seek to achieve.
Yeah.
Until the decision is made in the local context and from the local people, change will always elude us. And this is not what we want. So Impact Direct offers us the right step to correct this mistake.
Yeah. I like that you said that change will always elude us if the I'm paraphrasing, if the implementing partners are not part of the decision-making table.
Yeah.
And I think we have 60, 100 years of development work and we're still running into the exact same problems.
Same
where
problems.
It's either creating a dependency or it's leaving communities enfranchised where nothing is
It's
nothing
really
of value remains with the community. All the knowledge and expertise leaves. I was asking, does your organization also ensure there's a capacity building on the ground for the community members that would enable them to also intervene without calling in a large organization, that they're able to step into any situations before looking for help?
Thanks for that question. It's something that ASEC does because you see, we cannot always go into the community to carry out an intervention and then come out of the community.
Yeah.
You see, we have to effect change or make an impact. And how do we make this impact? We make this impact by creating change agents within the community. So, for example, let me use the cook stove projects as an example. That we went into the community for them to change their ways from the open fire systems or the traditional ways of cooking with the firewood and a lot of charcoal, creating a lot of smoke, to use the improved cook stoves. And then at the end of the day, we went there to just distribute cook stoves, and we came back out.
Yeah.
When we leave, what makes you think they will find ways to be able to maintain and sustain the use of the intervention that we brought? That's the improved cook stoves.
Yeah.
So this is where capacity building comes in. That we have brought the intervention, or we have showed you the intervention, yet we still have to build their capacity.
Yeah.
We have to let them know the advantages of using the improved cook stoves. That's building capacity. We have to teach them how to use these cook stoves, the improved cook stoves. That's building capacity. For some youth or some women and young men, we have to teach them how to repair and manufacture these improved cook stoves in order to give them livelihoods, give them something to survive on. That's building capacity. So yes, in all our work, our work will not succeed if we don't build capacity of any sort within the grassroots that
Yeah.
we work with or the communities that we work with. So capacity building is key. That's what we do through our training. So today we are meeting a group of people, giving them training on how to be sales agents for the cook stoves. That's building capacity. We are meeting with women to teach them how to use the stoves. If there are any challenges, we let them know the advantages of using the cook stoves. These are all capacity building techniques that we give to the beneficiaries, or let me say in this case, the vulnerable people that we work for them to be able to sustain and maintain the intervention that we have brought. We don't want them to go back to poverty at the end of our intervention. That would
Yeah.
have been like not something real or not something sustainable that we do. But at ASEC, we ensure that we empower. We empower them in every sense of the word empower.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
I have a slightly cheeky question, but I think I would be amiss not to ask the question. Um, there is a body of research that points out that climate change impacts, there's a disparity in how climate change impacts the genders. How is your organization taking that into account? And you've mentioned multiple times how the traditional cooking ways have harmed women. And you've also just mentioned that with the cook stove, you've also training young boys and how to
Yeah.
repair. Are we taking into account young women that want to be mechanics and engineers? And how do we also address that statistically it will harm women and the most vulnerable groups, which are women and children, the most? How does your organization take that into account and prepare for this? Because I don't think we're going to come out of the climate crisis anytime soon. And Africa being in its current state will bear a lot of the brunt of it. How does your organization prepare for this disparity and ensure that it's addressed?
All right. Thanks, Nikki. I'll tell you something.
Yeah.
Um, ASEC was formed, or ASEC was established to address the climate change effects that vulnerable communities face.
Yeah.
Because we realized that climate change was not a phenomenon that was common or well known by everybody, especially in the communities, especially the rural areas of Ghana.
Mm-hmm.
So ASEC was strategically established to fill this gap, to let communities know what climate change is,
Yeah.
what the effects of climate change are, and then how they can withstand the harsh impacts of climate change. So I'll tell you something about climate justice.
Mm-hmm.
Climate justice is, let me just describe it in my context to you. Climate justice refers to the phenomenon where big companies like oil companies, you see,
Yeah.
they manufacture their oil, which creates a lot of disturbances in the atmosphere. I'm talking about carbon dioxide levels and then imbalance within the elements in the air. So this
Yeah.
causes a lot of sunshine. That's one aspect of climate change. That when these big fuel companies manufacture their fuel, they contribute to the gases in the
Mm-hmm.
air, which in turn causes climate change. So climate justice looks at these things that these big companies do and the effect of it. So do you know that these big things that the big companies do that destroy the environment, the people who bear the brunt of
Mm-hmm.
these actions by the big companies are the poor people who even have nothing to do with these oil companies.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You get it?
Yeah.
So usually these poor people are in Africa, sadly, unfortunately. Most of these people who are vulnerable to the effects of climate change are in Africa. So the big things that companies in US and Asia and Europe are doing is going to be bared by the poor people in Africa.
Yeah.
So that's what we look at by saying that climate justice usually does not favor the vulnerable. This refers to the vulnerable everywhere in the world, not just in Africa.
Yeah.
So because actions taken by companies in Europe and America are burdened on the vulnerables over here. That is why ASEC is here. So ASEC realizes that the vulnerable people who suffer the effects of climate change sadly do not even contribute to climate change, yet they suffer harshly a lot from the effects of climate change. So this is where ASEC moves in. And yes, it's an interesting question looking at the gender, because who are the vulnerables in Africa? Even in across all intervention areas, be it agriculture, energy, income, health, education, women are always majority amongst the vulnerables.
Yeah.
So yes, for ASEC, we are looking at some of the women, in fact, mostly women, because most for the cook stove intervention like this, women are those who cook. Women are the gatekeepers of their families, where they have to provide. That is how it is in Africa. So women are largely amongst our beneficiaries, amongst our target groups. So all these interventions that ASEC carries out, special attention is paid to women. Special efforts are made to empower women, to take them out of poverty, to take them out of hardship. So this is where I am saying that we mean empowerment in every sense of the word empowerment. That is why our name is Agriculture ASEC, Agriculture Climate and Empowerment Center. We are empowering women and sometimes men. Men are usually not in the majority, looking at the intervention that we seek to roll out. For the cook stoves, women were in the majority. It was women that benefited from everything that we did. The men only benefited because they may be husbands to those women, or they may be children to those women. Yes, but for the mangrove, it's going to yes. For the mangrove restoration project, it will benefit the entire community, men, women, and children alike.
All right. I just want to maybe just add into this. The reason why women may be perceived to benefit most here is because due to our patriarchal societies, women are the ones in the kitchen. So it's not a necessarily, oh my God, it's amazing, good luck, you've won in life.
Yeah, that's true.
It's winning within the confinement of the gender classifications and responsibilities.
Yes.
I just I want to ask you about going forward. What does your organization need to maintain its current trajectory, and how can Impact Direct improve the way forward for you?
Impact Direct offers ASEC with an innovative way of raising funds to impact change in the communities.
Yeah.
We are thankful for that. Impact Direct offers us sustainability. That's one. Empowerment. That's two. Safeguarding of people's livelihoods. That's three. And then breaking chains of poverty. That would be four for me. So the four things that Impact Direct and ASEC in their collaboration is offering to the masses or to the vulnerable target groups that we have is the empowerment, sustainability, breaking poverty barriers or breaking the chains of poverty, and then empowerment.
Okay. Why should people donate? What is it that, well, I think it's important people donate, but what is the absolute added value for the way these things are done?
Great, thanks for that question. We have said this time and time again that the donations of all donors through Impact Direct is critical to effecting change on the ground in Africa. In this case, we are looking at the work of non-profit organizations in Ghana. ASEC is partnering with Impact Direct to do what? We are empowering the masses or improving the lives of the masses through Impact Direct. So if you donate, you are empowering the vulnerable people in Ghana to now be able to raise their own incomes. If you donate, you are curbing the health challenges that the masses in Africa usually face. When you donate, you are safeguarding the livelihoods of people in Africa, in this case, Ghana. So I want all those watching this and even donors, existing donors, potential donors, to know that their donation is critical to the improvement of a life in Ghana.
To know, with how far your organization is working, how your organization is working by being community-led, do you also foresee some sort of difficulties at times? Because if you wait for community to actually call out, it must be too late by then, or at least the damage would have been done by now. Is there a way that we can actually intervene, or you can intervene before it gets to that point? And I suppose this also ties with the government policies not being implemented on the ground because communities do not have a sense of ownership of them. Is there a way to ensure that people reach out before it gets too critical?
Thanks for that question, Nikki. What I'll say directly to that is that it's already too late for anything within our local context. Yes, unfortunately, that's the story of where we find ourselves. You know, you find out that we are decades back in a lot of things. Therefore, most of the interventions that are even foreign-led by them providing the funds are only to take them out of the problem. The problem has already been caused. When you look at a lot of our interventions or projects that we do in Africa, it is to solve a problem because it has already happened. Unfortunately, it wasn't to curb the problem or prevent the problem from happening. It is that the problem has already happened and we are doing an intervention to minimize the effect of the problem or take them out of that problem, unfortunately. That is how it is in Ghana. So the problem has already been caused and it is already too late to prevent any problem. However, thankfully, it affords us the opportunity to be able to do our bit, to be able to intervene in order not to get the problem to become more aggravated. Wherever the problem has reached, we are here to solve it. We are here to minimize its impact on the people. And that is what Impact Direct presents to ACEC, that, hi, Ghanaians, no matter where the problem is, we are empowering an implementing organization like ACEC to be able to render some services or render some sort of help on the community level, to be able to safeguard your livelihoods, protect lives, save incomes, and also grant education. So yes, Impact Direct offers us this opportunity to be able to offer some sort of intervention or relief to the masses, despite the fact that the problems have already been caused.
So you really don't believe that there's anything that the communities can come to you, or there's nothing your organization can do to ensure the communities can get to you before it's too late? Is it maybe possible, when this goes back as well, as I said earlier, to government policies not being implemented on the ground or not reaching the grassroots people, is there a way that there is some sort of, is there a way that the communities can reach out prior to things going completely wrong? And I think I want to know if is this a matter of communication, and specifically the policies. Are the communities aware that they can actually reach out prior to things going incredibly bad? Is this a matter of communities not knowing even that there is possibilities that this is happening? So where was the disconnect you mentioned in the beginning of the interview? And is there a way to bridge that? Because now it seems that communities reach out when it really has gone to, survival mode now versus, okay, things are looking a little bad, but let's improve them while we can. So is this a communication thing? Is this a matter of reaching out before, or communities even being informed that there's other ways of doing things?
Right. For ASEC, we are not just an organization that is based in the capital of Ghana,
Yeah.
that we move to the communities to do an intervention and then come back to the capital. No, ASEC is a grassroots organization.
Yeah.
To be honest, as you see me here, I'm not sitting in any office with a suit and a tie to show that there's a disconnect between the work that we do and the people that we work for.
Yeah.
I was on the field when we scheduled this meeting. And that
Yeah.
is why you see me dressed in this way, because from here, I'm going to the field.
Yeah.
So we are a grassroots organization ourselves. So it's not a matter of communication. We are very, very, very visible on the ground.
Yeah.
We work with them and for them. When we have funds, we work for them. But when we are not being funded, we are working with them. That's the work that we do.
Okay.
So Kwamina is always on the ground with the people. Therefore, if the people feel that there is any problem that needs the intervention of ASEC, they just have to tell Kwamina by seeing me face to face.
Yeah.
So we don't have a communication challenge between ourselves as an implementing organization and our beneficiaries.
Yeah.
Because we work with them all the time. We are visible to them all the time. We do not sit somewhere, get funds, and move there. No, we are always there with them. So we know their problems.
Yeah.
However, the issue that I raised was that majority of the people must acknowledge that they want a change to that problem. Other than that, we cannot effect the necessary change that we seek to impact. You get it?
Yeah.
So yes, ASEC is on the ground with the beneficiaries all the time. I mean, that's what I'm always doing. That I can't even get good internet connectivity to respond to Ina Marie's mails most of the time because I'm always on the ground with them.
Yeah.
Yes. So that is what ASEC is doing. ASEC is grassroots. We are working for the people. We are part of the people.
Yeah. Okay. You know, I like that you said that majority of the people must acknowledge that there is a problem. And I think this I would hope you'd also agree with this, that this is also the ethos, or the point of all of that we do, and something that a development organization also have to learn. We all collectively, anyone and everyone working in the development humanitarian sector, has to acknowledge that the way we're doing things, it's not working anymore. It's too skewed to one side. It's frustrating the other side. And in order for us to move forward and find a way that improves collaboration, that respects every single human being that is part of the solution, the problem, but also the solution finding, must start with acknowledging that there is a problem. And if we don't do this, 60 years from now, our children will be
It's
sitting
gonna be
around
the
having
same.
the same conversation about, oh, decision
Same
made in
thing.
the West are not respectful to the people on the ground, and it removes the dignity from the people that are highly capable of implementing these things, but are usually left out of the conversation. So I would hope that we understand this, we're in this together, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would like to just close with what is the way forward now? So once this project is finished, what's the next big thing? And how can we continue to support you? And then it's not just the donation part, but how can we sitting here in this part of the world, because I'm in Brussels, you are in Ghana, how can we ensure that we rebalance the seats at the table and the conversations going?
Great. Great. Thanks, Nikki. For ASEC, we are an organization that has come to stay, and we are here because of the people. We are here to help them
Yeah.
in any small way that we can. If we have a big push through donations from Impact Direct, that would be great. But other than that, we are still here doing the little things that we can to improve the lives of our people. So ASEC is looking at sustainability in our own ways of doing things. That, for example, when we did the cook stove intervention, We didn't want it to be a one-off thing that we just distributed cook stoves and that was the end. But we gave the youth, men and women, the opportunity to be able to study and learn how to manufacture cook stoves.
Yeah.
So we linked some of them to cook stove manufacturers for sustainability. So
Yeah.
here at the end of our intervention, the youth have now gained skills
Yeah.
in manufacturing cook stoves to sell. We also had some youth who were sales agents. So these people were not only linked to cook stove manufacturers to be their sales agents, but we linked them to existing distributors of cook stoves
Yeah.
for them to become more like cook stove entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't even want to call them sales agents, but entrepreneurs, because
Yeah.
it's their business. Their business is to sell cook stoves. So at the end of our intervention, we have some youth now who are not just welders and riders of tricycles that move cook stoves around, but they are also manufacturers of their
Yeah.
own cook stoves. They have learned the technical ways of putting the clay and the metal and the parts together to be able to manufacture a cook stove. So
Yeah.
ASEC is looking at sustainability. That with this mangroves project as well, at the end of the day, when we are able to restore the mangroves, it gives the women and the men some livelihood
Yeah.
because they will be able to get fish from where the mangroves are. You know, the mangroves are usually grounds for spawning for the fish. So
Yeah.
this will give the community people some sense of livelihood that we can now get fish to sell,
Yeah.
and that safeguards their livelihoods.
Yeah.
Looking at the environmental level, it also protects the environment because we are going green these days. Going green is the ish now. So if we are able to restore mangroves, restore natural resources, it raises the integrity of the environment and the local landscape, which
Yeah.
in turn helps the community people. So going forward, ASEC is going to continue doing what we do with funds or without funds, and
Yeah.
then continue with our education. At least doing education doesn't necessarily need funding because we can always gather and meet the local people and then teach them best practices
Yeah.
of how to go about their things. So yeah, looking forward, going forward, ASEC is going to continue doing what we do, hoping that we can get a big push through resources and through
Yeah.
funding to be able to impact greatly
Yeah.
in Ghana.
Maybe last question. What is the ultimate success? We're not going to solve climate crisis. Not now.
Yeah, yeah.
What is, I think, the success factor at the moment? What is your, once you reach that point, you've made it, and Kwamina can go do something else if he wants to.
For the success points, by God's grace, we keep getting these milestones that we yearn to see because after all, when we begin an intervention, there's something that we hope to see.
Yeah.
I'm happy when I see women especially
Yeah.
going with the intervention, the change, the change. When we develop theory of change for every project, that at the end of the day, we have the long-term goal. I am happy when the long-term goal is realized in a short term. So that's what I'll say. I'm happy when I see women who sell food, who used to use the traditional ways of cooking, have now adopted clean cook stoves
Yeah.
or clean energy
Yeah.
to do their things, which saves them more time, gives them more income. I'm happy when I do that. And ASEC chalks successes when these things happen. So for our mangrove restoration project, successes will be when the women are taking frantic effort
Yeah.
to restore their mangroves. That is the success point that I'll see. And Kwamina is not going to go out of it when he sees successes, but I'm going to still be to see more successes. I am happy when I see that. That's what we all yearn for. Yeah.
That's great. That's absolutely fantastic. And I think this is also ties well to what you said in the beginning, that communities have to want the change themselves. So
Yeah.
this is a beautiful conclusion. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity and the wonderful learning points. I've learned a lot.
Yeah.